Could take notes.
This meeting is being recorded.
Oh, God, I don't know where my sheet is. Hi. This is the Spiritual Neighborhood Lunch Bunch. We're a project of the 501c3, the Council of Families for Children. We're doing our show today with Audra Watley, who is our best holistic healer in the whole wide world.
Yes.
I just love her. I love her voice. It calms me down. I don't like people, but I like her. And when I see her, I just want to sit in her lap, which is really weird since she's younger than I am. And I'm heterosexual. I'm not homosexual, but I just want to cuddle with her.
It's like being like a little puppy and you just want some attention and some nurture. It's like, it's okay, little puppy.
Yeah, yeah. So
that's what I was going to say. It's like she sounds like my puppy.
Yeah. So don't whistle at me and don't go. And but you can give me treats.
Oh, over, play dead.
But you can give me treats, and you can stroke my head.
Yes, I can pat you on the head.
All of a sudden, that was a visual. It was like, okay, wow.
Oh my God, what is wrong with me today? What a way to start the show. Damn.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Okay. I have my notebook. I'm ready.
Okay.
Oh my God, I thought she was going to actually do your bio. I'm like, good, she's going to actually do the bio. Hell no.
Oh no, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Okay.
Good God, help us.
Jump in. Yeah, I guess I will just jump in. Okay. So, stress, hormones, and health.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm an example of what we're talking about today.
Stressed out, hormonally imbalanced, and
yeah. Just not hormonal, just imbalanced.
Just imbalanced. Okay.
Oh God,
Lordy mercy.
Here we go.
All right, here we go. So, for the most part, we evolved to the form that we're in. Many thousands of years ago, we've been in this same form. But back thousands of years ago, when we evolved to this form, we didn't have the kind of stressors that we have today. So back then, it's like we, for the most part, we went about our day. We collected whatever, or we did a little hunting or a little fishing or whatever they did. Right?
Oh my God, I thought you said we did hunching. I thought you said we did hunching.
Hunting, fishing.
Hunting, I got it now.
Maybe we're hunching because it's a little hunting and fishing all together. I don't know.
We were hunter-gatherers.
Yes, we were hunter-gatherers.
Yes, we were.
And we had a lot of freedom. And so, we got up with the sun. We went to bed with the, sun. And so that's kind of what our life existed as. But as we have progressed in society, we work more hours and we have a lot more stressors throughout the day. Where used to, it's like our body would respond to, oh my God, it's a tiger, save me. And now it's more like, oh my gosh, it's a car and I'm already late. And then there's this, and then the boss wants me to do this. And then I have to rush to get that done. And then I inhale my food. And then, that doesn't ever stop. Because then you're in a rush to get out of there so that you can be with the traffic again, where somebody's trying to run over you so that you can get the kids that you're already late for. And that just goes on.
Oh God, right? I'm stressed just listening to that.
Right. But that's, for most people between the ages of, I'm going to say 25 and 50, that's their life.
Yeah.
Right. And then after that, we still have a lot of those stressors. They just shift forms. Right. It's like we're not worried about the kids anymore. We're worried about the grandkids and the bills and the future and medicine and everything else. Yeah. So the way that our body responds to that is we have two little pieces in our brain. One of them is called the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is kind of like the overwatcher. It keeps a look down on the system of everything that's going on. And the pituitary is kind of like the overseer, where it manages, I'm sorry, not the overseer, that's the hypothalamus, but it's more like the control center. And the pituitary sends out the messages to the adrenals and to the thyroid and to the other hormone producing systems in the body of what to do. So when we perceive that stressor, the hypothalamus says, hey, pituitary, send out a message to the adrenals that they need to send out adrenaline. And then what that does is it shuts down rest, digest, and reproduce. So it shuts down those hormones, those other hormones, so that we can focus on all of our energy and blood flow being out to our extremities so that we can respond quickly to that tiger, which isn't a tiger anymore. And once that stress is dealt with, now that our system is flooded with adrenaline, the hypothalamus again says, wait a minute, that's too much adrenaline. Now we have to calm back down. So it sends a message to the pituitary, who sends a message to the adrenals, and that sends out norepinephrine or noradrenaline, which calms that down. But that also produces cortisol. And cortisol is in the same family as cortisone. You've heard that.
Right.
Anti-inflammatory, right? So that's supposed to calm us down. But what happens in our society today is that we're constantly in that loop. And so often our cortisol is too high, or we've, just gotten so much stress in our system that it's not even producing it anymore. And so depending on where people are in their adrenal stress and how much stress they've had, they can have, what the alternative communities call adrenal burnout or adrenal fatigue. And the Western community hasn't really acknowledged adrenal fatigue as a thing, but people that have it and people that look up the symptoms for it are like, oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah.
So what are the symptoms
Of adrenal fatigue?
Yes.
So there's a couple of different patterns that can fall into that. One of them is the person that's wired and tired. Like they're exhausted, but they're so wired all the time that they can't sleep, they can't function, they feel like they're a nervous wreck. And that's because their body is overloaded with cortisol, but it's low on DHEA. Now, once they go through that phase where their body's just not producing cortisol anymore, they drop down. And if they're also low on DHEA, which is the precursor for all your hormones, sex hormones specifically, that when you drop down out of that actual adrenal fatigue is tired, foggy brained, can't function, doesn't want to get up and get going, no motivation. There's a lot of other things that go with it, but those are the primary. Exhaustion. I mean, just exhaustion. So, there's a lot of pieces that go into it. Now, again, a lot of people think those same symptoms, like if you have hypothyroid or if you're familiar with hypothyroid, that foggy brain, fatigue, tired, exhausted, those are all the same symptoms, right? And so here's what's interesting about the thyroid is that the hypothalamus and pituitary that control the adrenals also control the thyroid. So the hypothalamus, when the body is trying to regulate temperature, sends a message to the pituitary, and the pituitary sends out, are you ready for this? TSH, which is what most doctors test for thyroid functioning, and that's thyroid stimulating hormone. TSH is not produced at all by the thyroid itself. It's actually, as I said, produced by the pituitary, and it basically says, hey, thyroid, we need you to work. Work, get to work. Hey, get up. That kind of thing. So when that TSH number goes up, that's when people often get medicated for low thyroid. Now, if you're looking at their numbers, they may have plenty of T4, but not enough T3 because they're not converting those thyroid numbers. Or it could be that their other numbers are normal, but their body is so stressed and so out of balance with the adrenals that HPA, which is hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, is so imbalanced that it's also creating an imbalance with the thyroid. And so those are all very closely connected. So the thyroid, the adrenals, stress impacts all of it. But then the other thing, earlier when I was talking about adrenal fatigue and DHEA, which is what helps in that system to balance out, is also a precursor for estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. And when we talk about creating cortisol, which we talked about a little bit earlier, because cortisol is the thing that helps calm us down, when our body has shifted from rest, relax, digest, and reproduce, okay, and it shifts more towards that stress and balancing stress, it actually pulls the precursors for testosterone and progesterone and turns them into cortisol.
She knows what she's talking about, and I'll tell y'all why in a minute.
Well, all these hormones are, even when you study it, it's just so hard to follow.
It's hard. And it's kind of one of those things where you've got like literally, to put it really simply, stress steals the components that we use for sex hormones and turns them into stress hormone, which is cortisol. That's the simplest part of it. It's like literally it takes it and goes, okay, we're going to use that over here because you don't need it right now anyway.
Right. You're too stressed out to have sex, so we're going to do something else with it.
Well, yeah, and it's like your body doesn't differentiate. Your body never differentiates like, oh my God, it's a tiger, I have to run, from, how am I going to pay the electric bill?
Right.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't know the difference.
Yeah, and so, whether it's like, oh my gosh, am I going to catch Corona at the grocery store, or, how am I going to pay my bills if my company decides not to, keep us on through all of this, or whatever it is. It's like all of those stressors that we have are just as stressful to the system as literally an actual threat, like somebody's got a gun pointed at you.
One of the things that was brought up to me when my mom was still alive was the fact that is what happens with care givers, is that you can have that same kind of reaction. It's as if you have PTSD.
Yep.
Just constantly on. You're never off.
Yeah, so I've heard that called caregiver fatigue.
Yeah.
And when you're constantly giving and you're constantly, in that state of hypervigilance, which is just that hyper awareness. It happens with young moms with young kids. It happens with, the sandwich generation, where they've got kids they're watching out for and parents too. It happens with people that are literally caregivers in hospice or whatever it is, to where they're just constantly aware and on guard, trying to make sure that someone else is.
Parents with children with special needs, they have this as well.
Yeah.
We teach this at the council, but I am walking, talking, living proof of what you're talking about, because 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with having so much cortisol. It was enough for 10 people, enough testosterone for 10 men, even though I was female, enough estrogen for 10 women. And I was on a 1,400 calorie diet, and I was gaining weight. And they could not figure out. I went through all kinds of pharmaceuticals, meds. They treated me for Hashimoto, which is a thyroid situation, all these things, and never could get it regulated. And it was because of the stress of what I was doing, because I was doing constant surveillance as an investigator. And then I had 2 children with special needs that were in and out of the hospital. And I was constantly in fight or flight, constantly.
Yep.
And everything else about me was perfectly healthy, except the hormones were screwed up and I was gaining weight and couldn't stop. And the doctor's like, we don't know what we're going to do. You're going to stroke out at this rate, And I had, of all things, I had a specialized weight loss surgery, because they had found in the past that weight loss surgery regulated diabetes and other chemical imbalances in the body, and they didn't know why. And they're like, this is kind of like our last option. Wow. And I had the surgery, and within a week, everything was normal.
Wow.
Completely normal. And within 16 months, I dropped 245 pounds.
Wow.
That's fast.
Yeah. That's why I look that's why I look melted. That's why I look like a melted candle. But everything's perfect now, and they don't have any explanation for that, on why that body. But it's like major reset of the brain is what happened.
You reset everything is what you're saying, right? Wow.
So now I have a very special diet and very special lifestyle, but it was worth it. So
I was just saying, and that's when it's unfortunate to me. It's like, if it was just the anesthesia that reset your brain, You know?
Oh yeah, don't even go there, honey.
Right? I mean, it's like and you know, the unfortunate part to me is that, you know, you're left with a lifetime of, you know, special diet, not absorbing everything, and those kind of things. But at the same time, it's like in those emergency case scenarios when things are so far out of balance and uncontrolled, it's like that's when medical intervention is, you know, kind of the best option.
Oh, I was terrified, absolutely terrified. I mean, you know, to have that much reconstruction go on with my insides to reset the other stuff, you know. And if I could have found any other alternative, I would have, because, you know, my whole thing is that I joke with people going, if there's ever a true zombie apocalypse, I'm screwed because I'll never get all the vitamins I need, because I have to take, you know, a buttload of vitamins to get all the nutrition I need because I don't process everything now. So,
Right.
you know, so God help me if those zombies come. You know?
I don't know. 2020's not over yet.
Well, I'm telling you, if I don't have Amazon,
Well, 2 months are left. Be careful.
I have Amazon at my door every day with a fresh bottle of this, that, and the other. And I take about 40 pills a day to get all the nutrition I need, you know.
Wow.
But the upside is I can eat pretty much what I want to, except for a lot of sugar. I cannot eat sugar, but I can eat anything else. And I can eat up to 4,000 calories a day and not gain weight, you know.
It just goes right through you.
Wow. I can look at food. I can walk by a buffet and gain 10 pounds. And I
Well, you know, there's a trade-off for everything, but
Yeah.
it really is. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, I didn't mean to throw everybody off their game. Damn.
I was like, well, there you go. Stress, hormones, and health in 15 minutes.
I'm the extreme. I'm always the extreme of situations. I'm sorry. I'm the extreme. But what can people do about this besides going out and have their innards rewired?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, really kind of like the first place to start is really looking at your lifestyle and being like, okay, if I put in, you know, 3 to 5 minutes of meditation in the morning before I get in the car, is that going to help with, you know, those driving stressors and traffic? If I can add more meditation time to it, you know, is that going to help? Because a lot of people, meditation is the one thing that like calms down their brain and gets them centered, so that they're not off on the 15,000 things that could happen and what, you know, all of those extra stressors. If they can bring themselves back into a centered place, that helps to calm down the stress. Getting the processed foods and the sugars out of their diet, not existing on caffeine to function for energy. Because the caffeine actually caffeine has a half-life of 6 hours. So for 6 hours after you have a caffeinated beverage, the average person, and there are those of us that genetically we process it faster than that, but the average person, it takes 6 hours to get a caffeinated beverage out of their system. And while they're in that 6 hours, their adrenals are ramped up because of the caffeine. And so it's like if you're already in that place of fight or flight and stress, and then you add caffeine on top of it so that you can have the energy to keep going, it actually exacerbates and makes the problem worse as opposed to really helping you.
So when you say other people process it faster, is that the people that can drink coffee at night and then go right to sleep? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, and that's actually genetic. That is actually, there are genes specifically for fast caffeine metabolism. Yep, that's me.
Me too.
I'm like, woohoo.
Yep.
I was going to say about a third of the population are fast caffeine metabolizers.
Wow.
Metabolizers. So, you know, there's the people that they drink caffeine at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and they can't go to sleep because, you know, at 9 o'clock, there's still half the caffeine in their system that was 6 hours ago. And then there's the fast caffeine metabolizers that are like, all right, you know, it's like I had caffeine 45 minutes ago and it's already like, yeah, we're fine. Let's go to sleep.
I think it makes me sleepy. I actually think caffeine makes me sleepy.
It makes me sleepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't find that it makes me sleepy anymore anyway, but there's something in that whole the pathway that metabolizes caffeine where it's actually like turning something off versus turning something on when you get that sleepy effect.
So, do you think stress is making people stupid? Because here's what occurs to me. Okay, you're talking about, when we're in our evolution stage, that they would go, oh, there's a tiger, let's run. And look at all the stories we're seeing this year where people are feeding the bears and feeding the tigers at the zoo, and they're getting their hands bit off. We're like, oh, look, a puppy, and they're petting the cougars. It's like we've become dumb,
Is it stupid or just too much free time?
Well, and I don't know, but here's the deal. When people are extremely stressed, they make poor choices.
Totally right.
Oh,
totally
yeah.
Right.
Okay, that explains my 5 marriages then.
It very well could.
Yeah. I got an excuse now.
You got an excuse now. Yeah.
So if you add DHEA as a supplement, does that help at all?
So I'm a big fan of test and don't guess, because I've seen people that they go out there, they hear something like I said, or they read something and go, oh, I need DHEA, and then their DHEA is off the charts and their cortisol is still really low because it wasn't DHEA that was the problem.
Is there a problem with that? Is there like a horrible side effect to that if that happens?
Well, it could ramp up testosterone production and some of those other things. It could just be a load on the system where you're taking something you don't need. But ideally, it's like we're going for balance and not for unbalancing the system by guessing. Mm-hmm. There's some really great testing out there now that's not crazy expensive, that is basically an adrenal stress index. And most any functional medicine practitioner can run an adrenal stress index. And what that does is that it looks at cortisol levels throughout the day. It's not a urine test. It's actually a saliva test, where the more traditional testing for cortisol, it's like they have you pee in a bucket all day long, and then they average it out throughout the day. Well, that only tells you like your average cortisol throughout the day, where what it's supposed to do is peak in the morning and then drop off, mid-morning, and then kind of level out throughout the rest of the day. But what I've seen a lot in doing the testing that I've done is that you've got people that they don't even start to peak until about 11 or 12, and then it drops off and goes back down. So it's like their whole curve is shifted.
Oh, wow.
It's shifted out of place.
Yeah.
And so there's no DHEA deficiency. There's no there's not a nutritional deficiency. It's literally a stress pattern. And the way that we help to balance that is making lifestyle changes, like setting your alarm to get up, and then, being awake and doing something active early will help. People that have night shift jobs, it's like their cortisol patterns are completely whacked out because their body doesn't know when they're supposed to get up. And, one day they're trying to stay up all night for 2 or 3 days in a row, and then they're trying to go to bed at night and have a normal cortisol level in the morning, and it's like their body just can't adjust to that. So some of the worst unbalanced cortisol patterns I've seen have been in night shift workers.
Oh, wow.
But at the same time, it's like when I did mine was one of those that's like I did not function before 10 a.m. He just did not talk to me because literally my cortisol wasn't even starting to come up until 10, and it would peak at about noon and then come back down, and I'd feel the best at between 3 and 8 in the evening.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't really tired to go to sleep because my body was still thinking that, hey, it's the middle of the day. So, just understanding and knowing that I didn't have to supplement specifically for that. I just had to change my lifestyle patterns.
My peak hour is 9 p.m. I don't care how tired I am. At 9 p.m., I'm going to clean my closet. I'm going to organize my jewelry box. I'm going to alphabetize my books.
Oh, my goodness.
9 p.m. What are you doing, Elizabeth?
I didn't do a thing. I just fuzzed out.
It looks really good. There's no
It's
wrinkles, no
my
lines.
cortisol has kicked in.
Don't talk to her.
Like I took my glasses off.
Weird. Oh, my gosh.
So those of us who don't get started till 10 o'clock in the morning need to readjust our wake time.
No, not always. Some people, it's like they're just not warning people, and that's okay. But it's like literally, if your cortisol pattern is not is
That's why you test.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and that's why we test, because some people, it's not a matter of, you know, we don't need to create expensive urine for no reason. I mean, like literally. I mean, the supplement industry like is amazing, and I'm sure that they are well funded because of all the people that they heard somewhere on some commercial that everybody should be on X or Y or Z. And it's not necessary for everyone to be on any set of supplements. But, you know, for the general average person that just wants something to help, you know, manage stress and stuff like that, I would go towards the adaptogenic herbs, which are going to be like rhodiola and ashwagandha and eleuthero is some of them. And those are those kind of stress management supplements. It's like they're just helping your body adapt to the stress that it has. Mm-hmm. They're not shifting patterns and, you know, trying to push a system to work when you don't know really what you need to do that without the help of somebody who's testing.
See, that makes so much sense to me. And because, you know, we have to remember that our bodies are nothing but chemicals. And if you don't mix those chemicals right, you get a toxic oil field. That's literally what happens, you know. And I know there was a time frame where everybody was going to get those shots for the DHEA. They were getting those shots. Do you remember that? You know, and they weren't feeling any better. I'm like, well, it's because you don't need it. You know, maybe you need to check that out a little bit more, you know. And then, you know, there was the big thing where people were going to get the B12 shots. Well, okay, yeah, you're getting a shot of adrenaline, basically. It's, you know, making that good rush. And why don't we just do meth and be done with it? You know, it's probably going to be cheaper in the long run. But so not getting tested to me is just stupid. It's just stupid. Go and get those levels checked, you know.
And I think this is something that you really specialize in, because a regular GP is not going to do that kind of testing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
No, they'll look at you like you've lost your mind if you ask them to do it. Oh, we don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
I mean, if they, like I said, the standard of care testing for cortisol is literally they have you be in a cup and be in a bucket all day long, and then they average it out throughout the day. That's what they're going to do. And the urine testing is giving you a general idea of amounts, but it's not telling you when, where, and how your body is using it. And that's where the more functional testing is going to give you a better, it's going to give you a much better picture of what's going on and help. It looks at the adrenal stress index that I use. It not only looks at cortisol throughout the day, it looks at multiple times throughout the day, but it's also going to look at how your body is responding to sugar. It looks at a couple of the other hormones. It definitely looks at DHEA levels, and then it gives you a chart that kind of tells you, like, you know, DHEA versus cortisol, and then also, are you gluten sensitive? Are you, you know, it's going to look at a few other components that are going to play into that cortisol system.
See, I did the spit test. So I did that, and I did a lot of blood work, you know, and what about estrogen, though? Where does that play into that? Because, you know, there's a lot of people that women that used to get diagnosed with bipolar disorder that actually were having estrogen issues, and those symptoms mimic bipolar. So what do you know about that? What's going on with that right now?
So that's not necessarily associated with the adrenals themselves. But a lot of times what happens with that is that, you know, with PMS, which is basically, you know, our bodies, the way that we produce estrogen is that our estrogen, again, it's going to peak, you know, the first half of our cycle, and then it kind of comes down, but it still stays present. And then progesterone is supposed to come in and balance it out the last half of the cycle. So women that produce too much estrogen, their estrogen stays up. They may not have any progesterone at all to come in and balance that out. And so it's like they're going to get severe fatigue, emotional instability in some cases, either that or they have too much progesterone and they're not having enough estrogen, and then they get more of the fire signs, the anger and the frustration and the more manic and hot flashy kind of thing. So it just depends. Like, again, that's another testing scenario where we look at it. But what was happening was an imbalance in the hormones. And because our hormones shift every 10 days as women, is that they got labeled bipolar or all kinds of other things that were just, how do I say this politely?
Just be blunt.
A masculine dominated system's way of dealing with what they didn't understand.
Yeah, and I think a lot of younger women don't know this, or if they did, they don't think about it. PMS was not even recognized in this country till the late 80s by even most female doctors.
Right.
And it wasn't really something that was looked at as treatable until the late 90s. So to get a diagnosis of PMS before 1995 and to get treatment was almost impossible in this country.
Unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
They would put you on. They would either put you on more hormones or an antidepressant.
Yes.
Yep, antidepressant.
Yes, and send you to a counselor or a psychologist. We had several European doctors that came here, and one of them was actually here in Dallas. Two were in LA. I forget what the others were, that came from Sweden and Europe that actually promoted that movement to bringing PMS into the light, basically. And I was fortunate enough to meet one of them in the 80s because I had those issues. So
yeah. I was going to say, and the more that I learned about not just the hormones themselves, but that we have genetic components in each of us that determine, how our body processes estrogens, how it processes and creates other things, and that, there's a good portion of women out there that are just more predisposed to creating more estrogen, and then some of us can't break it down either.
Right.
And so you're creating more to start with, and you're not breaking it down as well, and then they put you on estrogen for birth control. It's like it just creates this like toxic environment that your body can't deal with, even though it's something natural that you think would be good, right?
right.
It's like, we all need some estrogen, but we don't need that much, right? And we can't get rid of it, right? So it's like working with somebody that can help you sort out those pieces for yourself is very important, because it's like you will get labeled as all kinds of other things and put on drugs that you don't need because your hormone systems are so, are unbalanced.
Well, and the irony of that is that they've done numerous studies in the past 25 years that shows that women that have the estrogen problems and the PMS problems are more prone to having children that later are diagnosed with bipolar. So there is a connection definitely there. But then you go backwards 100 years, and then the women were labeled with hysterics.
Hysteria, yeah.
Yeah, and that it really was the real deal. They were hysterical because of their hormones, So it was.
And because men didn't know what to do with it, women were put institutionalized.
Yeah.
Now, when you
That's
say
where the word hysterectomy comes from.
exactly. Now, when you say men don't know what to do with it, you're not talking about their physical form, are you?
No.
No.
No, they don't know what to do with
They do not
the PMS.
know to manage the woman's situation.
So
They're
you're
looking at it from almost an auto mechanic type.
But the other side of that is true too.
Gasoline or more oil, or let's change her spark plugs. I mean, it's not.
We're just going to take out that
to the female figure, figuratively speaking, her body.
See,
anatomy.
so Elizabeth takes that so seriously and explains it, and Audra gets the joke, and she's just having a good time. Thank you, Audra.
I'm like this. The masculine brain goes to, we just take the part out, and then there won't be a problem anymore.
That's right.
Right.
It's an auto mechanic. Doctors are auto mechanics. Male doctors can be.
Yeah.
In many cases, just jack her up, let's rip it out, we'll, replace it.
Yeah, they jacked us up. Yeah, they jacked us up. That's how I got pregnant twice. I got jacked up, got pregnant twice.
Well, sometimes I think It's all right, Audra. When you're our age, you'll get it.
It's all good.
I think a lot of times, so many women are in a better place when they're pregnant because their hormones kind of tend to level out after that 3 months. And so that's where the keep them pregnant and barefoot came from, you know?
Oh, I didn't think of that. That's a good, yeah. I love being pregnant. I did. I had a great time being pregnant. But
the other thing is like pregnancy hormones, HCG, which is the pregnancy hormone. It's an anti-inflammatory, and so
Is it really?
have inflammatory issues, whether it be, female system or otherwise, when they tend to have inflammatory issues, a lot of times it helps to calm those things down. And yes, it's definitely more balanced.
how do I get me some of that stuff? I need me some of that.
It's like, I don't know. There for a while, there was the whole big deal on HCG diet, and it was basically a starvation diet. And
Oh, no, that won't work. I can't do that.
Hormones too, and it's to keep your body from being inflamed from it, which I didn't necessarily. A lot of people lost a lot of weight, but as soon as they stop doing it, it comes back. Right? It's like
And then weren't they doing HCG injections too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Either drops or injections, depending on what doctor they were working with.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God, my husband is actually watching the show. He hardly ever watches the show. Everybody go on 3. Hi, Scott. 1, 2, 3.
Hi,
That poor guy puts up with so much, I tell you.
Well, his mother is a pain, but he loves her so much. You like the way I reframe that?
Yeah, well,
Good.
that's not where we were going.
I know it, but I took it away.
These are those Facebook
That
lives
was
where you
really, really good.
give him a hard time.
Well done. Well
I
done.
always, when I was pregnant twice, and I always lost tons of weight, like 35, 40 pounds when I was pregnant.
Wow.
And I don't know why. I mean,
Were you super sick doing it or not really?
the first time I was, the second time I wasn't, but I still lost 35 pounds each time.
Yeah. It's a very interesting thing. There are different people their bodies do different things with it. And, whatever it does, with the pregnancy process is like, of course, you hear women say all the time, it destroys your body. Well, what it does is it pulls your focus from all of your extremities and all of your processing and makes sure that fetus can stay alive best it can. And so it's like maybe it's pulling from your reserves or pulling off of your excesses to rebalance so that you have the best environment or had the best environment for pregnancy. And one thing I will say is like right now in our country, and I don't know about the statistics worldwide, but the last time I looked, between 17 and 20% of reproductive age couples are unable to conceive naturally. And it's just that, those fertility rates are because of stress, like we've been talking about, and because of pesticides, toxins, and genetically modified whatevers in our diet. It's like our bodies are just not doing the same job that they were 50 years ago when it comes to women being able to get pregnant. So that whole thing it's fascinating to me. And I've worked with a number of ladies trying to create families and some of them are even in their 20s. It's not like it's an age thing where they've waited until they were nearly 40, because I've seen those too, But it really comes down to it's like our diets and lifestyles and just the way that life is. It's like decrease those levels of hormones as well as just the ability to create pregnancy.
I have a theory about that. It's the men's fault. They're not trying hard enough. They should try more often and harder.
That's absolutely not the truth.
Just trying to say that is not necessarily accurate.
Oh my gosh, are we being politically correct today or what?
But here's the deal. I will say that there is some truth to that, because it's like it's not always the woman's problem. I see just as many couples that the issue is actually with low testosterone production or not healthy testosterone production, where their little swimmers are not swimming straight, that
Go around in a circle, they're lost. Where am
right?
I?
Their tails are broken. They're just swimming in circles. That kind of, that is a thing for sure. And it's like, I definitely see that there is that male pattern reproductive health issue that is as much a problem as the female. And that comes again from the same sort of things that we're talking about. Is like when their stress levels are as high as they are, no matter what their jobs are, when their stress levels are as high as they are, they're showing up with low testosterone in their 30s, which is ridiculous, right? That's ridiculous. And, these guys, bless their hearts, are stressed out trying to do their best in life. And again, they're putting on weight too. They just put it on differently than we do. Where if they stop the stressful job and, do yoga, they lose weight. But
It's true.
It's true. It's like most women, that's not the case, but that definitely plays into it as well.
And then you see this is another hormone issue that we are starting to see more and more often, is that young men that grow breast tissue. And what I have been told is that if they have too much testosterone in their body, it is natural for them to produce estrogen to counteract that testosterone. And when the imbalance is so high, that's when you see a growth of the breast tissue. And that is like a new thing now, is for young men to have mastectomies, for lack of a better explanation, to remove that excess breast tissue from the hormones that have created that.
Yeah, and I haven't necessarily heard it from too high of testosterone creating more estrogen, but it's definitely too much estrogen. And there's so many hormone disruptors through water bottles, like the plastics that everything is packaged in. And even some of the pesticides and chemicals are hormone disruptors. And so it disrupts the balance of hormones, whether it's too little or too much testosterone, which is creating the pattern of too much estrogen in young men. But that's, like you said, it's definitely a pattern that's been showing up over the last 20 years, but even more recently. And it's like you can almost like look at the more processing of food, the more hormones that are given in dairy production as well as meat production and those kind of things. It's like if you want to make sure, all right, I'm going to shut this for just a second. Watch it, sweet girl. Yeah, so it's like there's definitely that pattern. The more that we inject our food sources with hormones to keep them how we want them, the more hormones that we get in our diet.
Right.
So what is the thing about the plastic, though? Explain that a little bit.
So the plastics are hormone disruptors. So that's why we have shifted to, you'll see BPA free this, BPA free that, drink out of your metal cups, drink out of a glass. It's because there's something about the plastics themselves that disrupt that hormonal system. Now, I haven't looked into the research on what those actual components are in a long time, so I wouldn't do a good job of telling you why. But I'm just telling you that the plastics definitely contribute to unbalancing those hormonal systems.
So I drink my
chemicals.
Oops, say that again.
So I can
Don't
drink.
the chemicals leach out? I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Luann. So plastic coating, but as long as it's metal inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're fine.
Okay. Go ahead, Luann. I'm so sorry.
Don't the chemicals leach out of the plastic into whatever's in the container? That's
Yes.
how it happens?
Yes. So like your soft plastic water bottles that everybody walks around with, it's like, especially if they get hot. So in the summer, those kind of things, when those plastic water bottles get hot, it leaches the chemicals into the water or whatever's in it.
Those are nasty.
In the summer, it's going to happen no matter what, no matter how it gets shipped or processed.
Right. Yep.
Does that happen even when the plastic says BPA free?
So, I've read different things that say different things. So the BPA free is supposed to be better because the BPA is part of the problem from what I understand. But then there's also research that shows, even in the BPA free, that you're still getting some of those chemicals, not the same ones, but a different set of chemicals, and leached into stuff. So it's really just better to go with glass and metal where you can. And honestly, guys, that's so hard to do. I mean, like, really, when you really sit down and think about, bottled water or processed water, it's like, how do you get it transported? How do you even get it? And most of the time it's through some sort of plastic product.
Well, in some cases, especially like mineral water, most of those are coming in bottles now, glass bottles.
Yeah.
Or dark glass bottles. But Gatorade, tea, anything along those lines, sodas, they're all plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I don't like drinking a soda out of a metal container because it always tasted tinny to me. There was always a taste to that. So I didn't like that.
Yeah.
See, I don't like plastic. Plastic bugs me. It always has. And I always wonder, okay, so what makes the bottled water really so much better? And because if it's really so much better, why can't they do that with our own drinking water that we get out of our faucets? I mean, I'm such a suspicious person by nature, And
we're kind of hitting up on time, and I'm going to have somebody waiting on me here in a second. But really, what that comes down to is that most of us don't want to taste our water. And I can tell you, where I live, it's like when you get water out of the faucet, it still tastes like it just came out of the lake. I mean, like, you can taste the lake weed in it, right? It's that strong. And there's times in the year when you take a shower, you can smell it.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like that strong. And so, who wants to drink that? I don't drink that.
I don't like water anyway, period. So.
Well,
But water it's such an important part of, our body's processing and doing all the things that it needs to do. So,
it really is.
Maybe we'll pull on that a little bit more next time.
I love it.
I'd like to, we're talking about hormones. I'd like for you to talk about the hormones involved in digestion and the enzymes that we use to process, like lipase, and how it becomes.
Oh, there she goes with those big words again. Elizabeth told you about that, Luann.
It's okay for you to glaze over. It's Audra that will understand.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Well, Audrey, you're one of the smartest people I know. I could listen to you for hours. I do. And so tell them how to get a hold of you, and we will have you back next time. And you can talk about whatever Luann tells you to talk about. So.
We'll talk about the whole digestive process. So I can be found at BZen, that's BEZENHWC, like Holistic Wellness Center.com, BZenHWC.com, and the phone number is 214-551-4734.
She's just adorable. I just want to pinch her cheeks. They're so red, though.
I know they are. I'm like, whoa.
Put some Noxzema on them.
Unfortunately, I don't think that'll help, but okay.
It feels good. It feels good. What can I say? All right, darling, we will see you soon, and thank you for joining us. And it's always so fascinating and so educational. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you
so very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I did it. Oh, I did it. Okay, good.
Well, I need to put my money into going to her. I think she could help with some of my digestive issues.
I don't have anything wrong. I just want to go up there and have her poke and prod me and do all the lab work. Because I just find it fascinating, and just say, this could be tweaked and this could be done. And maybe she'll find something horrible wrong with me I need to fix. I don't know. But, I just want to go up there and see what she says. What, Elizabeth? What?
I'm just thinking about, never mind. Never mind.
She's going there. What is she doing?
I don't know.
Elizabeth.
No, it's okay. No. It's the thought's gone now. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you fall?
No, I didn't fall.
All right, look, here's the deal, people. We were having this discussion before we came on the air. We're like struggling. I think I'm struggling more maybe than the other two ladies, but we're like freaking out. It's been 8 months. And
Metaphysical years, it's 18 years.
how do you figure
18
that?
metaphysical years.
18 metaphysical years we've been doing this.
Well, it feels like 50 years, so I'm just going to say it. It feels like 50 years. I'm usually a very naturally upbeat, sarcastic, witty, enlightened person, but I'm really struggling the past couple of weeks on staying focused, being energetic, that type of thing. And I don't think I'm depressed. I think it's just stress of routine and boredom. I'm going to quit using stress. I think I'm bored.
You need something different.
I do. I need a trip to Ireland. That's what I need.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
But I need like a balloon ride. I'm not going to get on the airplane right now. I don't care what they say about that air being safe.
Yeah, I would question that right now, especially if they're talking about the second wave.
Yeah. But do you know that you can now fly direct from DFW to Ireland? You don't have to go.
I think I did.
Really?
I did know that.
Yeah. Isn't that cool? But it's what, like a 22-hour flight or something
It's
like
a
that?
very long trip.
Yeah. So I don't know if I could even handle that mentally.
I don't think it's 22 hours. No, I don't think it's that long.
Is it 12 hours? There's a 2 somewhere.
Because it doesn't take that long to get to London.
Ah, well, then maybe I'm wrong. It just seems like
Going to Australia, that's like a day, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
18, 22 hours. That is an enormous amount of time being confined.
Australians are weird people, and I saw a meme the other day that really kind of nailed it. Australians are just British people with Texas attitudes.
Yes, pretty much. I agree with that. I like the Aussies. I like them a lot.
Yeah, they're very interesting in their whole perspective. And they don't mince their words at all. And in fact, the Fluffy is a comedian. He's a Spanish comedian that was talking about his trip down there. And he says they don't hold back. He goes, what we call bullying, they're just being themselves. And they go, oh, look at you crying like a big baby. It's like gravy rolling down your face. They don't hold back. They tell you what they think. So I would fit in real well down there, I think.
Well, yeah. I think you would.
Yeah. So, all right. Have you got another show this weekend, Elizabeth?
No, I don't. I do not. Oh my God, no.
So your next radio show's on Halloween?
Yeah. Yes, it's the it's the Halloween extravaganza. It's going to be on actual Halloween. It is from 7 to 9 on Blog Talk Radio / Make It So Network.
And it's you and Carrie?
And Luann.
Right. And are y'all taking calls?
Yes, we are.
And can you ask anything?
Pretty much.
When is this going to be over?
You can ask anything you want. Doesn't mean you're going to get an answer, but you can ask almost anything.
When's this going to be over? I'm sick of this.
Well, it's not going to end till next year if it ends at all. I mean, it may be one of those situations where we just have to get used to the new regime, but we do have to be realistic. I mean, the numbers in Dallas are beginning to escalate again, and I think it's because of what we talked about earlier. People get complacent. People just get lax. People are not paying attention to what they're doing. I did that yesterday. And it's the first time I actually came home and I did not wash my hands when I first got home, and that is something I always do. And it's like, well, if I'll forget that, what else will I forget?
Right.
Or will I do something else that I'll forget? So I think because I haven't had an immediate family member, have it, or I have had a friend that's had it, so I do know the dangers are there, but I think we just get lazy, we get lax. It's like, well, it's not bothering me, so why the hell should I care? And that's when we get in trouble. So I think that second wave they're talking about is really something we should be paying attention to, mainly because of the chances of it spreading because of sinus, flu, sneezing, coughing, all of the above.
Did you see that article yesterday, though, about the young lady in Frisco, Texas, that got a science award and $25,000 because she may have found a way to not necessarily cure the virus, but she found a way to bind the proteins in the virus to kill it?
Awesome.
18 years old.
If we will allow these younger people to do what they do so well with that creativity that they have literally brought onto the planet, we will survive. We have to allow them to express themselves in a healthy way, but in encouraging as much education as possible to let them be as creative as possible. Because seriously, these are the people that are going to save us.
And we don't need to discount what they come up with because of their age.
No.
Exactly.
No, absolutely. I've learned more from kids under 12 than I ever have from other adults.
And I think we would if we would just pay attention, if we would just listen to the children. What is it? There's a young student that she's already in the NASA program, and she's going to be one of the first females to go to Mars.
And they're girls. Go, girls, go, girls.
And it's like, she's what? I don't even know how old she is, but she's not in high school, I don't think. So, I mean, she is already getting prepared, getting ready to do her studies and everything to be one of the first to go to Mars. And it's like, yes, let's make this happen.
They offered to send me to Mars, but there wasn't any Wi-Fi there, so I didn't go.
Well, the moon's pretty much taken, so, I mean, where would I go? I guess I would go where would I go? I go to Saturn.
I just want to go to Ireland. I'm fine with this planet.
I go to Saturn.
Why Saturn?
Because it's got, a ring around it, and you can just hop on and just,
Okay, which brings up an interesting point. In our previous shows, when naming a certain planet, y'all keep saying Uranus. Is that what you say?
Uranus.
Uranus.
I thought it was Uranus.
Uranus.
Yeah.
I think it's pronounced, it's like tomato, potato. It's just,
It's Uranus.
Is it?
Uranus.
Well, I grew up in the South, and in school they always called it Uranus. Of course, we all snickered at it, but,
Well, yeah, and we wonder why.
Yeah, well, it was years before we even knew what that meant, but...
Well, yeah, it sounded like it should be something that would not be right.
No. Well, depending on your point of view.
Yeah. So Mercury is in retro.
I'm so sick of hearing that. Oh, my God. Quit saying that. When is it coming out of retro? When is it going to move? When is it going to
November?
And the day before the election, November the 2nd.
Why can't we get Pluto in retrograde? Or why can't we get Venus?
All planets go in retrograde. It's just that Mercury is the one that usually causes trouble.
I must be Mercury. I'm the physical version of Mercury.
I had to laugh at Isaac. We were discussing some changes to the radio show. We were talking about Mercury in retro because it's a big deal. And he's teaching class online, and he said he was right in the middle of something on his online class, and all of a sudden his computer decided to do a reboot.
Oh my God!
He's watching this computer just, like ching, 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 everything is just going crazy. He said they made it through, but he just you just have to say, okay, Mercury retro. Okay.
Well, last night there was some confusion about the Zoom meeting for our Bible study, and I volunteered to handle that because I'm the expert, right? And as we got started, the shared screen went and I couldn't hear it. And then I thought that the speaker was speaking and nobody could hear him, but everybody could hear him. I couldn't. So I just turned my camera off. I said, look, if you're a demon, get the hell out. If you're Mercury in retrograde, I don't give a shit. This needs to work. And then everything went boom, boom, boom and started working again. So
I think it was maybe 10 minutes before showtime last night, and I had moved one of my microphones. I put it in a different place, and apparently I hit a cable. And I look up just in time to see the screen that says, you might want to check your... It goes off. What? Check my what? Oh my God, talk to me. Like, okay, this is dead. I can tell this is dead. And of course, you can't do the show unless you actually have a internet service. You have to be able to see the screen. And so I just thought, this is what Chuck always told me to do. Follow the wire, unplug it, and plug back in. Just take it, whatever it is that you think may not be correct, you just unplug it, and then you plug it back in. And so that's what I did. And so fortunately, by the time it's like I have to walk around the block to get back to my desk, but you walk around, you come back and sit down, and I just kind of jiggle the mouse, and it's like, ding, it's like it's coming alive, and it's like, thank you so much. But let me tell you what happened last night. I realized that, Chuck was not going to be on. We were having issues, and I recognized that was going to happen. So I'm sitting here and I'm talking, and I'm thinking, I'm reading stuff just from my phone because I am not prepared. I was not prepared. I'm just dragging crap, from everywhere. What can I read about this, and what can I read about that?
Oh, look, a text message. Let me share my text message.
Please, I just got a message. Would you like to hear about this? And I'm thinking, so one of the things that was on my phone was talking about how people were wearing masks to, keep the demons and stuff away. And I caught myself going, I understand that people are asking me. I just don't feel like my relatives are really close to me anymore. I just don't, they've passed, and I just don't feel them anymore. And it dawned on me that maybe it's because we're wearing those masks and they don't know who we are. You're gone. So it's like, okay, so maybe I don't need to do a show by myself because.
Oh, no, I want to go down that rabbit hole with you. That would be interesting.
That was just like, okay. So the show finishes, and I just say, okay, we're only going to do, this is hopeless. This is hopeless. You were so not prepared, because I realized how much I depended upon his knowledge and his. We're going to talk about the conspiracy theories of people that have crossed over and all that. So I shut everything down, and I leaned back in the chair, and I said out loud, that was the biggest blah, 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 blah I have ever done. And about that time, one of my chairs, it's like somebody had just sat down in it and pushed it. Like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. That was just horrible.
All right, so I have a public service announcement. We promise you that no matter how bad it is and how screwed up the technology is or how boring we might be, we will never publicly masturbate on our Zoom room while the show is on. Did y'all see that article about the guy that got fired for masturbating in the Zoom meeting?
Yeah, and the ones that are not turning off their volume when they need to be turning the volume off and stuff because they're going to the bathroom.
And one guy, well, this is a kid in school, the teacher's going, turn your camera off, because his mom's walking in the background totally butt naked.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to promise that. I might walk across the street butt naked, but you'll never see any of us masturbate, I promise.
You won't be seeing me naked.
Well, I have no shame. I have no shame.
That will not be part of my agenda.
I'm a nudist.
It probably will happen next week because I've said that. Canceled that thought.
Yeah, I'm a nudist by heart, so I could walk to the store naked and not care. I don't care. If you can look at it, I can show it. So.
Okay.
Don't look, Ethel.
Yeah, don't look, Ethel. It was too late.
Oh. It's in my mind now. Vision is burned into my brain.
All right, so
I see it.
this is the end of the week for us. Even though it's Thursday, we have April chalk. I know this without even looking at my Pentagon calendar. Aren't y'all proud of me? We have April Chalk next
The
week.
Pentagon calendar, eventually that's going to disappear.
We need to put April and Audra together. It occurred to me because she's talking about the fertility issues and stuff. I wonder if she might not assist April with some of her clients. You know?
Yeah.
It's a thought.
Yeah, we ought to
Always a good
introduce
thought.
them. So, all
That
right.
would be nice. That would be good. Yes, let's do that.
So that would be cool. Just to think that
Okay.
we might be the initiators of having a new baby born.
Is English your first language?
No, it's not. It's not.
English? What is that? English.
It really isn't. I speak Robotese. Robotese is my first language.
Please. I'm beginning to speak senior moments.
Yeah.
That was what? I left it where?
Yeah. You want me to do what with what? No.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
Oh, let me tell you real quick. I had to take Mom to the eye doctor today, and I'll tell you what, I was ready to slap everybody's cheeks, all four of them individually today. I have never been so irritated in the doctor's office in my life. They come in there and they're really trying to be cheery, but they have this patter that they just pull out, and they don't listen to any of the answers. And then on top of that, they were teaching, and this is at the eye doctor, they're training an intern. So they're having him set up the eye thing and then having the lady come back and check it. And then he comes back and does it. And, I'm like, she's old. She can't sit there during your training session. You need to do this with somebody else. And then Mother was trying to tell the doctor something, and he was blowing her off. And then he turned around and looked at me over his shoulder like we were having some running gag together. Oh, look, she's trying to play doctor. And I'm just like, oh my God, I couldn't even speak today. Normally I'm a very good advocate for my mom, but today I couldn't even speak because I was so angry, and I thought maybe though this is where we're at because they're bored out of their minds too. I don't know.
You become the protector, the voice, you're her advocate. You become, they're not paying attention, they're not listening. I mean, seriously, you have to be the one that speaks up for them, even when we're mad.
Well, we got what we needed from the meeting, other than we got a lot of aggravation on top of that. That was not the cherry on the cake I needed today. But I could even tell in the doctor's office, they're getting really lackadaisical about protocols and stuff.
So you think that's right back to what we were talking about earlier. And I do believe that it's going to be an issue because basically we are lazy. And we want somebody else to take care of it. We want somebody else to do it. And if we're not an advocate for ourselves, nobody else is going to give a hoot.
No.
So we've got to be proactive. We have to make sure we have our mask. We have to make sure we're washing our hands and cleaning our hands really well. And it's up to us to stop it. And I think we can. I think. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it for myself, but it did bother me yesterday when I realized that I had become just, it's no big deal. And I'm going, you cannot go there.
No, when you get to that point, you're ready to take your chances because you're just so tired of the process. Now, I will say this. If it's not too hot during the day, I don't mind wearing the mask. And I have turned it into a new fashion statement. I love wearing different kinds of masks. And even for the gigs that I'm working, I have veils and different things that I'm wearing. And I wear a paper mask underneath it. And then I wear a decorative mask over it to just add to the costume. So
don't you find that really cool, though?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. To have that, the veil. Ooh. I think that is, I always wanted that. I just thought that would just so enhance the look of the gypsy.
I would make a great harem wife. I look great in a harem outfit.
Okay.
I do. I have the harem pants and the shirt, and then you put that veil on and the belt with the little bells. I look awesome.
I bet.
I can shake my hips, too. I still got it.
There is no doubt on that one.
I do. We don't know what it is, but I got it. All right. Tell everybody how much you love them.
Like you like.
There we
Oh, you froze up.
All
You
right.
froze up.
Yeah. There. So
Yep, still frozen.
Are you still frozen?
Okay, everybody, like y'all a lot. How about that?
There you go. So this is the Spiritual Neighborhood Lunch Bunch, and we're a community project of the Council of Families for Children, and we're going to be winding this down in the next couple of weeks because we're going to be focusing on our new adventure with Luann and Carrie and Elizabeth and Martha, and we have started production, and it's a bit of a challenge, but we are now working on unfinished business. We're doing paranormal investigations. We'll be looking for Sasquatch, Bigfoot. We're going to be looking at alien invasions. We're going to be checking out, different things like that. And she's got some people from Oklahoma we're going to be meeting with in the future. Production has been slowed down because of the virus. We're not getting access to some of the locations like we wanted to, but we're just making it up as we go, and we're going to fake it. So get with it. We're not professionals.
Absolutely,
So,
it's gonna be fun. I think people will enjoy it. It'll be different. That's for sure.
Well, we started videotaping yesterday, and it just wasn't working. I am going to have to go out in the field with her, which I'm kind of glad because I'm tired of sitting behind this desk. And I bought some special equipment yesterday that should help with the sound and help with the videotape. It's not going to be Jack Osborne quality, but it'll be pretty good. And we're also working during the day because we can't do some of these things at night. But we're going to fake it till we make it. So we'll see how it goes. And that's another reason why it's
sounds like it's going to be. I think it'll be fun.
I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun to see how everybody collaborates and. Of course, Martha will know some of the history. I will know some of the history, but you guys won't. That's going to be the fun part.
That's the fun part.
Yeah. So I'm excited. So anyway, we see you Monday with April Chalk, and y'all have a great weekend and stay out of trouble and wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Change your underwear.
Wear your mask.
Change your underwear, wash your hands.
Bye. Good Lord.
Good Lord.
Okay, I like y'all a lot.
Yeah, we know.
All right, bye.